evening and welcome. This is Whole and Beautiful. I am Angela Oliphant, your host, and I am so glad that you all have joined me for another night of information, revelation, and change. As you all can see, I have a guest with me, and that guest is my son, Stephen Oliphant. He is going to be with me on tonight. We're going to talk to him in just a minute. I want to share some things with you all real quick. We're still having our couples conversation. So if you know of a couple that you want to be on the show, send me an email, wholebeautiful@gmail.com. We will get them on the show. I'm looking to do something really big with the couples and getting couples together so that we can talk about some different things. So if you know a couple, just send me their information or give them my information. Just have them send me an email, wholebeautiful@gmail.com. And we are just talking to different people during the course of the weeks. We have our facts on Fridays sometimes, and we are doing a lot of different things. And I'm looking to do a different setup and some different stuff. So I have a lot of ideas, but this month I'm going to be talking to some dads. I'm going to be talking to some different men. And who better than to start with than my own son, Stephen Oliphant? I wanted to start with different men in the area or different men that I do know so that we could talk to them and find out their viewpoint on some stuff, find out who they are, find out what's going on in their lives, and find out how things are going with them. He's back, yes, because he had frozen for a minute, guys. It looked like he was just taking a nap. But he is back. His name is Stephen Oliphant, and I call him Jay, so y'all will hear me say JR or Jay throughout this interview with him. And it's because he is a junior, so I don't call him Junior. I call him Jay, or I call him JR. So that's where we get that from. But how are you tonight, Mr. J?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I am doing well. I want you to, I know that a lot of people who have watched the show before, they probably know who you are right now, know who you are. But I want you to tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do for those people that do not know who you are.
Okay. My mom was saying, my name is Stephen Oliphant. I go by Jay. Also go by JR. I'm a teacher, social studies, with world history. I've been married for 13 years. I have two children, like Ashton and Zoe. Just two kids. Leave it at two kids. And what else? Uh, I'm big time game player. Only because like board game, card games, things like that. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is just because I incorporated a lot of that with my family, and I do incorporate that in my classroom too. So it's a big part of my identity as a person.
Okay, it's like because you really do love games though.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more so, it's not like the gamer do where people be thinking games. Is more so of the board game.
Yeah, board games, card games like Monopoly. The new one I'm on is like Catan. Also playing things like just always trying to learn different games from all over the world, and then being able to use those to be able to teach my own kids, but then using those to teach my students, because I think games have a way of bringing people together.
Yeah, they do. Because I mean, even when you go to like different meetings and they have like those icebreakers, or they have different
Mm-hmm.
things because they're trying to get people involved, and that's one way that they get people involved is through games. They
Yeah.
started that they started doing that and having like the different games that they may have, and you will find out a lot about a person when you start playing the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yes, because I played a game not too long ago with my son and my grandson, and I was
Right.
like, whoo, my grandson is like off the chain.
Yeah. Like it's very very competitive.
Yes, it's like he wants to win at all costs, and it's like the real person of who he is comes out
Hmm.
when you're playing the game. So, um, and you were saying that you use those games, you utilize games also like in your classroom. How do
Yeah.
you incorporate those games in the classroom with being like, do you center it around history or do you center it around different things?
Well, like I do center around history. Some of the setup what I used to do would be like Jeopardy style games.
Okay.
So pretty straightforward. But then I remember I was trying to teach I was doing a unit or a lesson on capitalism. So one of the ways that I was trying to get them to understand how capitalism works was to play the game Monopoly
Mm-hmm.
or a variation of it. So we still had to change up the rules a little bit, but just using that as a um, teaching method, only because what I find is that talking a long period of time doesn't necessarily reach kids. Sometimes
Okay.
if you're entertaining them with some degree of like you have a little bit of fun, but you also have some education sprinkled in, they can retain that information a lot better than the just going up and talking. In fact, I think towards the end of the school year, so we're like currently in the summer break, but towards the end of the school year, I did a survey in which the students could write down some of the things they really enjoyed, some of the things they really didn't like throughout the year. And I consistently got students saying that they loved the games and because it left a lasting impression. Um, so
Okay.
I think it's just more likely to actually stick, especially when the games have a direct connection to the actual material.
Okay. Okay. I was like, that's good though, because when you do, it's like because even when they have the games with the office things that they do, they have
Mhm.
you have games where you have to remember people's names,
Hmm.
or you have to find out some things about them that you didn't know. It's all about getting to know people, but you retain that information better. I think also, like you were saying, through a game and playing the game, and then also like through like little jingles and songs and stuff. People
Yeah.
pick up stuff and they are able to hold it better than just talking in the classroom. But how does that work, like as far as like at home with your kids? Do you play games with them to try to teach them certain lessons, or it's just like fun games?
It's more so, well, it has like multiple layers when it comes down to the family. Like for instance, I have this history book. So I got it's a green little book I got from like Williamsburg. It has all the family records in it where you can
Hmm.
fill everything out.
Okay.
And one of the questions in there was asking about the different games that we play, and I noticed that consistently wherever I travel somewhere new, I always try to make sure I get like a deck of cards of some kind. So
Yes.
this is just like a little tradition that I do. And because games are always usually about trying to figure out who's the winner, I try to keep record of all the times that we play. So that way, when they get older, I can pass the actual book down to my kids and say, "Hey, look, this is our book of like history, but in our book also has like what with our historical records, it has our gaming records, like who has like the
Okay.
most wins in Uno, who has the most wins in Dos, or who has the most wins in Monopoly or Catan." So it's like a way to be able to pass something on. I
Yes.
didn't want to do the typical. I mean, we do. I do have the dates of grandparents and great grandparents and everything else, and I do have um, a list of all the sports that we've all participated in at some point. But I was trying to think of something what's unique to us, and what's unique to us is that we really do play games a lot. So we do try to keep records of every single time we play, or if we remember. So it's a record. It's a way to keep records, but then it's also I find like sometimes if I'm talking to Ashton or if I'm talking to Zoe, Ashton's my son and Zoe's my daughter. Whenever I'm talking to them, because of the fact that we play games, I do find that whenever we're discussing something, it's
Hmm.
easier to relate to the game and
Okay.
then use the game as a springboard to talk about what we're currently talking about. So it's, you know, um, playing games where they have to be competitive with each other. Um, let them like learn like basic lessons of like being able. It's like you're losing. If you lose, you're losing in a safe environment. You know,
Right.
so
Right.
it's not like you're losing in life and certain bad things are happening. You're losing at a game where you can actually have the time to process. And if you're winning, you know, again, you learn how to win gracefully. If you're playing a game where that happens to be cooperative, that means um, everybody in the game basically wins. So everybody has to cooperate with each other in order for us to win. So those sort of games, they've just built a stronger community. So like record keeping, building a stronger community, teaching life lessons, or
Mm-hmm.
teaching just basic math skills, because you can use like Monopoly to learn how to use basic math skills, or like Catan uses a lot of resources, so you have to
Yeah.
give resources in order to gain resources. So you're having to do a lot of math and watching the board and so it's like you're exercising your brain without really feeling like exercise,
Right.
which is important. And
So
it
then,
builds a connection too, because then later on they might pass it on to their kids, and then before you know it, we have like full-fledged tournaments with all these type of generations of just kids who play games or adults who
yeah.
play games with each other.
So it promotes like teamwork for them
Hmm.
to begin to work together too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, I love games too. I like to play games, but I never looked at it in that aspect. But it helps to play the games and stuff, and you learn so much from just playing the game. And when you put it all together, I'm like, wow, okay. And I
Yeah.
like the fact that you have the record book, and then they can go back and say, hey, on this day,
Yeah.
I
We
might not
tried
have
to.
won today.
Yeah, we did the first for the first time. Well, for I think I told you this, but I'm not sure. But like every April 24th, we do like something what we call like Oliphant Day,
Yes,
because
yes,
of the fact that we don't, you know, everybody, we all celebrate Christmas, like Easter, 4th of July, things like that. But we wanted to have like a day for ourselves,
yeah,
where it was just all about our particular family. And so, like, with the reason why we have April 24th, it's just because everybody's birthday goes in sequential order, with the exception of the 24th. So Ashton's, well, no, Sierra's is on the 21st. Zoe's is on the 22nd. I'm on the 23rd. We don't have a 24th, and then Ashton's on the 25th. So
yeah,
we figured that since we're missing a 24th, we would do it on that time. And then I think we were either do April or we do April or February. And then we do like one thing we consistently do is that since it's Oliphant Day and it's like we go out
yeah.
and get donuts on that day. Um,
Okay.
and then we also try to play games. Like this is the first this year we did the donuts, but then we also did a round robin. So like a round robin tournament where each of us got to decide what game we were going to play. We put it on a wheel, then we spin the wheel to see
Yeah.
which game we were going to play first, and then we were going to see who the winner is of that tournament. So we would probably play like two games per game. So total
Okay.
about six something games. I think Sierra is like the champ this year, or for the remaining of the year, and then next year we'll do the same round robin thing again, and then whoever wins will get the basically the belt or the
Yeah.
crown for that particular year.
Okay. I love it. I love the way that you all like deem that to be Elephant Day for your family, and that's something I think that a lot of families can do, because a lot, like you were saying, we celebrate all these different holidays that come up and people celebrate, but
Hmm.
it's good to have that y'all have designated that as Elephant Day for your family, and that y'all get to spend that time together. Then that's something that the kids will look forward to. That's something that the parents will look forward to, and
Yeah.
then it may be something that they pass on to their families, that hey, this is Elephant Day,
Yeah, my vision, hopefully, one, I was going to try to start expanding it, like
Yes.
just including a lot more people with that, and then two, my other thought is that by the time that my Ashton and Zoe get older and they start having children of their own, my hope is that this will turn into like possibly like family reunions,
Yeah.
like days to be able to do that, and probably still keep the tradition alive of at least like no matter what we have, we're going to have donuts or something,
Yes.
something along those lines, or we're always going to be playing games.
Yes. That is awesome. I love it. I love it. Um, with your teaching, can you let everybody know how long you have been teaching, like in the classroom, been in the classroom teaching?
I've been teaching this. I'm going on three years now. So I started teaching that the first what 21 the 2021 to 2022 school year. Second
Mm-hmm.
year was this previous year, and then starting in August will be my third year.
So with stepping into this area of teaching, when you got in there and you began to teach, do you see that as like, is this my like dream job? Is this where I want to be? Or you looking to expand it and do some other things along the same lines?
As of right now, I've always wanted to be a teacher. Um,
Right.
and now that I have become a teacher, I can see myself. I can definitely see myself teaching within the next 10 years. But
Yeah.
I think I'm starting to lean towards trying to change the actual system, um,
Right.
because of the fact that I just from the 2 years of me teaching, I've seen start to see some of the problems with it.
Right.
Just how the system is set up. And so, at least for right now, I want to give it more time to actually teach. But I think I'm going to start trying to get out of teaching to try to spend more time trying to change it. Because
Gotcha.
I really do think that if I had to give like a metaphor, it really does feel like our system of teaching is kind of like an old school computer, and we're still trying to put up all these like new software on these old school computers, like the
Yeah,
way
and
how
it's not
education
working.
in the 1800s or even the early 1900s, it just doesn't work anymore, and yet we're still trying to maintain the old system, and I just don't think that that's sustainable.
Okay. Wow, that's that's something to think about. Because I mean, because I'm not in this in the school system. Because I was there volunteering and doing different things at the school, but I never looked at it like that. That is good. I like that
Yeah.
because a lot of the things are we do we do need some basic things the way
Hmm.
that we teach, but we don't need to just like stay in the same area still trying to teach. I got you, trying to teach through the same type of methods or whatever,
Yeah, that
different ways.
my dilemma, or like I guess the challenge for me right now, is just figuring out if leaving the school system to try to change the system is the best way. So in other words, to leave out of the classroom and to go into
Yeah, it's
higher
like whether
position.
you need to be in to
Hmm.
change from within or whether
Yeah,
you need to be out where you can change from without. I got
what main question?
but since this month, and we just switching gears just a little bit, but since this
Mhm.
month is talking about we're celebrating fathers and we're celebrating the fact that it's Father's Day coming up. Is fatherhood what you thought it would be, or did you ever think about becoming a father when you were younger?
I had the romantic point of view of being a father when I was like before I became a dad. So my romantic point of view was just kind of like Andy Griffith's. So like it just really, I really thought that it was like a piece of cake. And then
Yeah,
after Ashton was born, I quickly realized that it's not. Um, and then even now, like that's one of the challenges that that I have, is just because of the fact I'm not. I think I'm very independent, and I didn't realize that about myself until after I had had my kids, because
yeah,
it's one thing. Well, for instance, I got married when I got married to Sierra. Me and Sierra are very much similar. even though she's more extroverted, she's more likely to go out. But in terms of independence, she's very independent, and I'm very independent. So we can kind of almost like exist in the same room. We do without like any real conflict.
Right.
Um, we don't have any real friction. It can be when like Sierra's very chill too, so I can just be like, hey, we're just gonna chill out and watch a movie, or we're chilling out on our computers, and then all of a sudden we're just like, oh, we're hungry, and we just got up and went. So I
Right.
never had the experience, or I never really felt that experience of having someone to rely on me,
Okay, gotcha.
and a person constantly asks questions and constantly come and say, "Hey, I need this done, I need that done," and then having kids made me realize how independent I actually was, because now I have these kids that are solely dependent on me.
Right.
Um, So everything that they're learning is coming from me and Sierra. Everything when they wake up in the morning, they're the ones asking, "Hey, can I fix this for my breakfast, or can I do this?" And before that, it was like they couldn't even have that opportunity because then I had to make everything for them.
Right.
So it was a weird transition, and it's still one of those things where I don't I don't think I fully I don't think I fully got it, but
It's
I'm
like
still
you're still learning.
yeah, because the thing about it almost feels like I'm always going to constantly learn it, because as I'm trying to, by the time I get stuff down, or I feel
Right.
like I get stuff down, they're entering in a whole nother phase.
Right.
So
Right.
by the time that I felt like I mastered how Ashton's behavior was, he was already getting ready to move into like preteen. And so
Yes.
by that time, it's like it's a whole nother ball game.
Yes.
So now it feels like I'm having to play catch up um, with a lot of things. What I do, and this I kind of like the fact that I being in school as a teacher, because I
Right.
think being around children where you have to be very cognizant of what you say to them, um, and you have to be cognizant of what you do around them.
Right.
That just makes it. I started seeing that I'm starting to incorporate some of that stuff in my own family, where I'm actually thinking about a little bit more of like, okay, I need to breathe a little bit. I understand that this is that one's a job and then one's my actual like my family. But
Right.
if I'm, it's kind of like the mindset that if I wake up every morning and I'm going to the school and I'm trying to give 110%
Yes.
for kids that are not even mine, um, and I'm trying to be patient with kids that are not even mine, then why shouldn't I give that 150% or 200% for my own children?
Right.
So
Right.
then having to really take the time to think like, I really need to step my game up, because if I'm giving, I don't want to ever have a position where I'm giving a certain level of care for my students higher than what I'm giving the level of care for my own children.
Yes.
So then that changes my dynamic, where sometimes I'm wake up in the morning and I'm, trying to s- stop those automatic behaviors, like where I'm like I wake up guarded. So especially with the kids, I'm wake up guarded because I'm like, okay, what's going to be the problem today? But allowing myself to let my guard down a little bit more,
Yeah.
and the other thing too, I think what I at least try to do, um, and I hope that Ashton and Zoe like appreciate this like later. It's just that I actually take the time to, if I feel like I spazzed out or I said something wrong, I did something wrong. I always try to make it a case to say I'm sorry, or I try to apologize to them and
Yes.
let them know that look, there's no shame in like an apology.
Right.
Like,
Right.
because I feel like so many times with some of these kids, they don't really hear adults say that, and it's almost kind of like adults just say it's my word, or it's my word and my word alone. Even when I'm wrong, I'm still right,
Yeah.
and I don't want them to ever do that, because I feel like the setup is if I try to act like uh, as if I'm totally right about everything, then that's just going to set them up for other things later where they're probably going to be rebellious. But being honest with them or just being upfront and honest with them as much as I possibly can, because there's just some
Yeah.
stuff you just can't, you know,
Right.
some lines that just can't be crossed. But it just allowing them that time to be able to talk, and allowing them that time to actually hear an adult say, "Hey, look, what I did was wrong, and this is why, and this is what I'm doing to correct it."
Yeah.
Because then you're modeling for them what I would hope that they do when
That
they
they
become
would do.
adults, that they can admit their failures and not always try to let their ego run their behavior.
Got it. That's good. That is good. I heard something what earlier in the week where a couple they were talking to another couple about their children growing up and the different things, and one of the guys said something which I think you were saying too. He was like, I don't think I'm ever gonna get it. It's like he said, I'm constantly learning
Mm-hmm.
because I'm constantly learning my children. And then he was saying that he said that his dad and his mom came to him and they apologized to him for some things like that happened early on when he was like a teenager and when he was at home with them, because he was saying at that time that's what they knew, but
Yeah.
they realized now that that was not right, so they came back and they apologized. And when they apologized to him, he was like, what I'm gonna do with that? How can I work with that? Because he was like, I had this big chip, on my shoulder,
Yeah.
but now the chip is gone because they apologized. And then he talked about his own sons and how he is learning.
Mm-hmm.
That it's a constant. He said, I will forever be learning. Because he was like, just like you said, he said, once I think I got it, things switch and they change and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So I was like, oh, that is something but we're forever learning because we're people, we're human
Yeah.
beings. And
The technology is always changing in this portion. Our kids have to go through different things. So some of the
yeah,
advice that we tried to give them just doesn't make sense,
right.
because of the fact that they have a whole different outlook. Um, I think the one example I can give would be that, a long time ago, these we could just be, just tell them, hey, look, what sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That type thing. Just let it roll off. Don't worry about it. It's just
Yeah,
words. But the thing is now, like if I before I had like dreadlocks, and even when I was in school, I would have people who, like, if I got my hair cut bald, you have
yeah,
people come and slap the back of your head. That would happen, and it was very upsetting.
yeah,
But it was almost like a one-off. It didn't happen really as much again, and I didn't really have to worry about it. As long as I stood my ground, or if I just didn't bother with those people again, I didn't really have to worry about that. My children, though, and as well as the kids that I teach, not only are they getting smacked in the back of the head, somebody's filming it. And
yeah,
so when that person's filming it, now they can put it on the internet. Even if somebody forces them to take it down, somebody probably screen grabbed it. So then you have
yes,
copies of it. So they live in a world in which the bullying is not, they're not just being bullied by the people who go to their school. They could be potentially being bullied by the whole entire county of, because it's all
yeah,
uploaded online. They could be bullied by people from all over the world.
yes,
Now, just because, people who don't know them are looking at a video and then making fun of the way they look or the way they dress or the way they talk. And so I grew up in a world where you had to wait. Like if you were watching television, you had to wait for a commercial break to end.
yes,
I grew up in a world in which everything's immediate.
right,
There is no break between. So when you tell them, "Oh, be patient about certain things," if they lived in a world where everything's pretty much immediate to them, they don't understand the concept of why I have to wait. So it's some of the advice that, there's some advice that the older generation can give that's always just going to be timeless, no matter what.
right, right,
It's always going to stick true, no matter if it's the year 3000 or if we're talking about the year 8000 BC. But then there's just some things that we do kind of have to adjust on, because just the nature of technology just changes how we see each other. It changes how we relate to the world around us.
Yes, it does. And that is something to give some thought to, because a lot of times I know that I'm trying to think outside the box.
Hmm.
I'm trying really hard because I didn't realize until I don't realize until like I talk to you, or I talk to Omar, or maybe even Sierra and Lizzie, and I sit and I start talking to you all and listen to your conversation. I'll be like, oh, I'm in a bubble, because it's like I have my own little world that
Hmm.
I'm a part of. And sometimes I don't realize like how far and deep I'm into my own, I guess, like own space.
Yeah.
And you don't realize some of the stuff that is going on the outside of that bubble that I've created for me. So it's good to hear you say some of the things that you're saying tonight, because it's making me think, because we have to think outside the box and think a little bit different. And when you grow up a certain way, then you're gonna have to get out and talk to other people.
Yeah. And I think that it works out for me with being a history teacher because
Right.
having to look at history, it almost forces me to look at other family structures, to look at other ways that people were living in the past, as well as the ways people are living right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we do get so caught up in we live here in the United States of America, so then we get so caught up in the way that we live, and we don't realize that there's a whole planet out there where all these different countries and different
Right.
people with different ways of people to live. So our family structure we think is normal because we've grown up with that family structure. Our parenting styles are quote unquote normal to us because we've grown up in a world
Yes.
where that's considered normal. But
Yeah.
if you go to another whole another country, like a completely different country. So not going to England or not
Right.
trying to go to like a typical European country. Just go to a
Right.
country in which they probably have some degree of European influence, but not as much. And you
Right.
start realizing quickly that the family structure is just not exactly the same.
The same.
So you
Yeah.
have to relate it. You have to relate to it slightly different. So by being in history, I have to be able to pull. What I find is I'm starting to pull from different cultures and then trying to implement that within my teaching style, but also within my family. Just trying to figure out, like, okay, why do I accept this as the normal way of doing things,
Yeah.
as opposed to another way? And like I said, well, it doesn't mean that. And I think sometimes older the people, the older generation, I'm pretty much going to experience the same thing. I think some people get kind of offended when the newer generation adopts new methods, but it's not that it's a rejection of the old ways. It's just a recognition of the fact that things don't always stay the same.
Yeah. And that
Uh,
they're ongoing, and you have to remain teachable.
yeah, you have to and that's for everybody because everybody benefits from when the older people set aside their ego to learn from the younger people. They're going to find out that they move just as quick and probably even better because not only are if you learn from the younger people because you already have the older knowledge and wisdom,
Yeah, that foundation.
yeah, you'll be a lot more, I think, better than the younger generation in terms of the knowledge because you not only do you have the new knowledge, you have the old knowledge.
Yes.
And it's for the younger people, they can learn a lot from the older generation because if they once they learn that, they can incorporate all the stuff they currently know with the stuff from their grandparents.
Yeah.
But I think everybody gets into the mode. Everybody's like egos are tripping at the time, so everybody's trying to basically show themselves to be the dominant one. So the younger people are just throwing away anything that older people say, and then older people say, "Oh, that's just young kids,"
Yeah.
rather than understand the fact that life is a learning process, and you don't stop learning the minute you become 50, 60, 70 years old.
Right.
And you don't, and just because you're 13 doesn't mean you know everything in the world either.
Right.
So, like being able to try to have an open heart and just an open mind to be able to learn. Because if you're a young person and you're going to learn from the older generation, you're going to be a pretty successful person older. And if you're an older person learning from the younger generation, you're going to be able to keep up and know what's going on and know
Yeah.
how to know how to navigate and network with
Yeah,
the
because then you
around
know how, if you learn that, you know how to approach the younger generation.
them. Hmm.
You know how to talk to them. You know how, like you were saying, network with them and get in there, and you won't be intimidated, because a lot of
Yeah.
people will shut down because they're intimidated by the younger people. So it's
Yeah.
like they try to stay away.
And some people and some older people, I think they think that learning from the younger generation means adopting their ways. But I don't think that that's the case. I just think there's a difference between, like, there's just some slang that Ashton and Zoe use, and that the students that I teach use. I would never use it. I just don't talk like that. Is
Right.
But I at least know what they mean. So if they
Yeah,
come
you
up
know
to
what
me and
they're
they say,
talking about.
yeah, I know what they're talking about, but some of the trends I just could never get into. And chances are some of those trends are probably trends that if they happened when I was a kid, I probably still wouldn't get into it.
Yeah.
So just because you learn from something doesn't mean that you have to adopt that particular way of doing things. It just means that you're aware and you are thinking strategically with how to approach certain things. Like for instance, I really do. I'm working on a game like that I'll be playing for my class for the entire school year, like a
Mhm.
series of games for the entire school year. I'm definitely trying to use some methods from um, their form of gameplay, but I'm
Okay.
incorporating some of the older stuff.
Right.
Um, because if I incorporate everything that's older, they're not going to be able to relate to it. So it'll
Right.
be fun for me, but then I'm in service to them because I'm their teacher.
Right.
So I have to figure out a way to blend both sides in order to make sure that one, everybody enjoys themselves, because the ultimate goal is to teach. So when you're learning from an older way, what you'll find is that I think if you're learning from the older way and you're taking the newer ways too, and you're blending together, you create whole new other systems. And you probably make some things more efficient, because there's just some things that younger people are doing that's inefficient.
Right.
And the same thing with the older people. There are some things that we're doing that's inefficient for our time period. So if we can find the way to synthesize both parts into one thing, we can create new systems that are actually beneficial for everybody.
Yeah, because you're just like having the old with the new.
Hmm.
Um, I'm gonna switch up just a little bit right here. I want to ask you. It's a lot that I want to ask you, but I'm gonna try to go over these. Um, do you have like a bucket list for yourself, like the top three things that you would want to go and do? Because some people have a bucket list, some people do not. Some people have a list of things, some people have goals. Is there anything that you have, like the top three things you say, oh, I want to do these top three things? These are the things. You may have a long list, but what are your top three of something that you want
Um,
to do?
Top three would be, I definitely want to have like a novel or a short story collection
Mm-hmm.
published. I want to write. I want to have a published, like, a screenplay of at least one movie. Um, and there's just I was working on a board game for a
Yeah.
longest, and I wrote the rules to it. Um, I had everything. I just didn't get a designer for it, and everything else. So I would like to have that actually being published, or I think a lot of my bucket list happens to do with some of the ideas that I've been writing down, and I've never got a chance to actually
To do
implement,
it.
to actually publish them, either from some of my ideas being like tossed away because of a computer virus, or just not having some of the resources at the time.
With
So
the
education.
with the spoken word, because you used to do spoken word, do you ever think that you will step back into doing writing and doing spoken word again?
I have. I don't think so. I don't think so. I Every now and then I'll hear somebody do like a piece,
Yes.
makes me want to do that. But then I think it just feels weird because I don't feel like I'm like in that
In that
headspace.
space in again now.
Yeah, so like when I do get inspired from hearing other people,
Right.
but then whenever I think about actually taking the time to write, that's that's a hard thing. And then I think the other thing that's probably coming with parenting or just being a father, because I just find that between teaching, between being a father at home, between being a husband, I find when I was writing poetry, it was I was 17,
Yeah.
18, I was
Yeah.
13, 14. Yeah, and I didn't have a whole lot of responsibilities.
Yeah.
So it was uh there were times where whenever I did spoken word, I was sitting quiet and I can just write, or if I was writing raps, I could just play the song over and over and over again and then just
Yeah.
keep writing. Now it's like incredibly hard to do that. So now what I do is I have like a little notebook and it's just find it easier to for me to write a story, like short stories. Because
Yeah.
even I want to write a novel, but writing a novel at this point in my life where I have two little kids and then I have other responsibilities is hard. So it's just easier for me to be like, okay, can I write a short story? And
And
so when
then
I
just
just start, yeah, just when I can write a short story and I'm like, okay, if that's my headspace right now, I have the time to be able to do it. It's much easier for that.
is that something that and this will be my last question. I got some more questions, but we're gonna get to those like on another show.
Mm.
But when you were talking about your writing, is that something that relaxes you? I wanted to know what relaxes you. Can you is there one thing that you can say that, oh, that's relaxing for me?
I couldn't say writing is relaxed. It is relax.
Okay.
Writing is fun, but
But it's not
it's
relaxing.
it's
What
not
is
like
what is
yeah.
what is
It's
a thing that you do that kind of mellows you out and where you just relax?
mainly I would say games. Probably
Okay.
like I'll play like solitaire or I'll play Catan or I'll play some type of game. Like I'll play a video game or something, or I'll play
And then
Uno with like Ashton or yeah, some type of game will actually relax me a little bit more.
okay. And what I'm gonna end with this particular question. What are the top two things that you like about yourself?
Top two things I love about myself. Oh man. Um, One, I would like to think I'm open minded. Um,
Okay.
so I do love the fact that like I'm a little bit more open minded about being able to listen to other people's opinions and try to reason that out. So I guess
Yeah.
that and mindedness and man, I'm struggling to think of the other one, but like
That
I really do like I think that one if I could double that one as two,
would be yeah.
I really do think that I for the most part like I can be an introvert, but I
Yeah.
do love being able to listen to other people's opinions.
Right.
And I like being able to see how other people think because I think some like you were talking about the bubble. I think we get so
Yeah.
used to being in our bubble, but it's cool. I like being in other people's bubbles. I like being able to see how other people think.
Yeah.
So so I guess open mindedness and hand in hand with that would be curiosity.
Okay. And he's a great person. You're just an overall great. You're a great human being.
Oh,
You are. You really are. You're loyal, and you're a good person. At heart, you're just a good person, and I appreciate you. And you're a great father too.
thank
Um,
you.
and I see you as being a husband, and I'm like, oh, my child is a husband, but he's a good husband too. So we're gonna get ready, we're gonna end because it's like it's the show is done. But when I was getting ready to put this show together, Jay, I remember a picture that I took of you. It's been years ago, and you were holding like this big box of laundry detergent because you were gonna help me do laundry, and we had to climb these stairs to go do it. And I don't know why that stuck in my head because I was like, "Oh, you're so strong," and you was like cheesing, like, "Yes," and that's when I took the picture. And I see that in my head, and I'm like, that was my baby. But now my baby is a grown man, and you're a good person. You're a good person. You're a good husband. You're a great father. I like the way you are working things out and doing things with your family. It makes me proud to say that's my child right there. That's my son.
Oh, thanks.
But it's awesome that you came on tonight. I look forward to having you back. But we're gonna work a show out where we have you and your brother here, and maybe your sister too. And we're gonna see how and bring Sierra in. We see how that show go.
Yeah.
And we can talk about the family. But guys, that is my time for tonight. I am so glad that Jay was able to join us tonight. Y'all, if you didn't get the whole interview, go back and listen. There were some great nuggets that he dropped tonight, and I want you to apply them. Spend some time with your family this weekend, this month. Make sure that you take time and be with your family. I am Angela D. Oliphant, allowing you to see, hear, and know that whole and beautiful is not just your destination. It is most definitely your journey. So come on and go on that journey with us. All right, guys. See me here next week at 7 p.m. on Friday, or you can catch the replay tomorrow at 4 p.m. Until we meet again. Good night, everybody. And thank you again, Jay. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for having me.